wasn't. That
Okay.
was more an internal survey. But to Don's,
Didn't we, as a part of the ARRA grant procedure last fall?
We did submit,
Yes.
I think.
Go through that?
the town of North Reading did submit an
Yeah.
ARA stimulus grant
Right.
for a whole host of things. It wasn't funded.
Right.
But to your question about, and I'd need to research that more. My understanding is that those energy conservation measures are more for individuals.
With tax credits.
You
I
know.
understand that,
Yeah.
but the motivation for it is
Sure.
isn't to give away tax money, it's
I
is
know
to reduce energy consumption.
you can file through the School Reimbursement Bureau for major capital, similar to new construction.
If we do
But
that,
if
we
you can't go for new construction if you start piecemealing the projects. So,
One research is needed on your question, though. It's a good one. And then, as you can see, this is a fairly spare list because it's been, I think, that the town's feeling that capital is supposed to be something you do once a year, not twice a year. So I think that the administration, you have some big numbers here, but these big numbers are in many cases
33.
renovation items.
yeah.
And then numbers 33 and 34, you have this middle school and the little school are the two buildings in our system that have significant levels of asbestos tile and other materials. I always hasten to add that in and of itself, that's not a problem. It's only when it begins to percolate that it becomes a problem. We have, every 6 months, have an inspection of all the asbestos in the entire system by an outside third party that provides us recommendations on what has to be fixed each year. And each year we do a small amount of abatement. This particular item was to do significant abatement here, particularly in middle school, where you have a lot of, not this room, but this is the only room that does not have asbestos tile. Every other room in this building is asbestos tile that is wearing away. So that was to do a big project over the summer. Lastly, as the committee remembers, there's long been discussion about wanting to improve the athletic field in the back of this building through irrigation and returfing. And so that item popped up again in FY11 after being put off last year.
That might be something, I know that Dr. Manville will be scheduling a athletic subcommittee meeting in January. And Jerry, that might be something we might approach recreation with to see if there's any kind of joint
Well, we
project.
have all that soil now, too.
That's right.
We have a lot of topsoil,
Right.
good topsoil.
It's
that was
stored
taken
over
off
at
of
the,
Great.
town.
The other field, yeah.
Great.
But looking through these numbers, Carl, and I looked at 12 and 13, I think every one but two projects is for either the middle or high school. And if you take that,
It's $12 million over the next 3 fiscal years. That's just absolutely necessary
Correct.
projects directly related
and
to
that
high
does
school
not,
and middle school.
Jerry, that does not count, what's not on here is, we would, to make this high school what it should be, we need to build probably 4 new
Yeah.
science
Well,
labs.
this doesn't include, I mean, the fact
Doesn't
that we
need
have all
any
the modulars.
educational, there's no educational
No,
aspect.
these are all systems.
Right, these are all
Roofs,
systems.
boilers,
Right.
plumbing.
Right.
And it doesn't include the fact that we have X number of modulars at the 2
Right.
facilities as well. So
That at some
that's a
point will need
huge-
work and,
Right.
because some of them are getting,
Well, at some point, you're gonna have to replace them, and some, if not this generation, the next generation, so somewhere along the line, in addition to all these repairs, you have all the space needs that you'd have to deal with as well.
but my guess is that there's probably, if you add the educational aspect in here of what we should have, and I always say science labs, but there are other things like appropriate band rooms, better facilities in the auditorium and the stage and the lighting and the sound system. You're getting, I would guess, you could get up to close to $20 million in costs.
Well, how
for
many
the middle and
modules
high
do we
school.
have at the 2 buildings right now, including the cafeteria?
20?
What, 2 buildings you
The
said?
middle and the high.
16,
We have,
18?
I think it's 16.
16?
I'm counting them, right.
so,
Yeah.
right there, I mean, 16 classrooms that are temporary.
Right, in nature. Carl, can you start to formulate from this large capital plan, just the middle school and high school ones, and maybe even if there are other things that we know that we've kept off that list, we could start to see them. We're trying to formulate, a plan or a strategy for educating the public on the needs of the buildings. so it would be nice to start tracking them separately.
Okay.
And maybe through the administrators too, Dr. Manville, we can find out more specifics like what Mel is referring to as educational space.
Sure.
Start formulating that plan. Good.
No?
All right, so can we have a motion to submit the large capital plan?
Well, I guess that, my question is, who are we submitting this to, or?
You would be recommending to the superintendent a group, he would then formulate proposed warrant articles that get sent over to Mr. Balakonis. This would be part of the April large capital.
When does the warrant article have to be submitted?
I think it's the 10th of January.
It is.
Because we could, I say, most of these would be a lot of these might be withdrawn, or some might be withdrawn if we have school projects.
Well, they have to be submitted January 10th, and our next meeting is January 13th.
11th, yeah.
Well, they're just
so
being submitted for consideration as a
Yeah.
whole, they're not,
I'd submit it.
yeah, they're
Whichever
not,
one I-
Right, there's time after that
Yeah.
to
Right.
withdraw.
Yeah, withdraw, yeah.
maybe not to add to it, but to take off, so.
I guess
Right.
my only question on that would be, should we have those additional educational items on here?
I don't know if we'd be prepared to do them for next year, but we can add them. for the
Well, right, but
years
that's
out.
what I'm saying, I mean, if,
I think
we
we
could-
can amend it to add years.
what do we
12.
submit, just fiscal 11,
11, yeah.
what we're asking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, April, yes.
So we
April.
wouldn't submit this whole
No,
5-year
no,
plan here?
no, just fiscal 11.
Okay, all right,
Specific items.
okay.
Okay, motion,
It will,
moved by Cliff,
Second.
second by Mel, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
if I may, were you approving all of the FY11 items?
Yes,
Yeah, listen, that was my for now.
yes,
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
clarifying. So,
yes,
so we are, you included in that the $70 million?
Yes.
yes. More as a placeholder, but
Right.
the best guess number we have
This
so
is
far.
more free cash than we anticipated.
Yeah. In case they stop plowing the streets, or at least the homes where we live, thanks.
We're expecting to move ahead
Yeah.
on the school project.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So let's
So
throw it out
we
there.
better be telling somebody that,
Right.
okay, you know, there's a big truck coming down the road.
Okay, Commissioner Grant Award.
Yeah, there's a letter in the packet that Mr. Bashir sent to Mr. I'm gonna.
Gorgani.
Gorgani, thank you very much. He worked very hard to secure a grant for the middle school, and I just thought that because of his hard work, we should acknowledge him publicly for what he did. There's no action needed on this, it's all done.
Congratulate him for winning the, and I know he's also was involved, they brought a
The Olympiad.
team to the Olymp, are you involved with that?
Yes, I am.
Team to the Olympiad, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow, the Science Olympiad team we have in
Yeah.
North Reading. Just another example of great teaching.
Thank you, Mr. Gorgani.
Thank you, Mr. Bergani, and that's great that they take the time and find some outside funding.
And when we get the Legos come in, I've reserved 2 hours before the next 5 meetings for the committee to
To
Play with
play
Legos.
Learn how to play nice.
I like Legos, I just don't like calling the directors.
Yeah, it's like just freelancing,
Supposed
right?
to.
Yeah.
The lawyer. Okay, bills
A lot
and
of
payrolls.
We have one more item of new business that was on the report but didn't make the agenda, and that's the meeting schedule.
Yes.
The tentative meeting schedule. We get calls in the office periodically from the cable company or other groups saying, do you know when, I want to come to the April meeting or whatever it is. And so I just took the liberty to propose a schedule the second and fourth Mondays of every month.
Yep.
We understand that there may be town meeting, there may be FinCom meetings or something like that, but at least I think it's better to have the schedule than alter it than try and make it up each month, so.
Yeah,
That's generally the way we do it, second
Yeah.
and fourth, right?
I think that's fine.
Yes.
Second and fourth, but we're mapping it out months in
And
advance.
Memorial Day is the 31st of May, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it really worked out pretty well for holidays. We worked around all the holidays, so.
Okay,
Thank you, Jack.
that's fine.
That's good. Bill, minutes. Do you have,
We need a motion on that?
No,
No.
we got a lot of minutes.
Okay, regular minutes from November 23rd.
I will state up front that I read all of these.
All right, so make a motion.
Well, I did did too, Mel.
Oh,
You could see.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Do you have any changes on this one?
On this particular one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I've been on the committee 10 years and 2 weeks, I've never read a minute, so yeah.
Read the second
And he's
stuff.
proud of that, so. And he votes.
I'll make a motion to approve the open session of November 23rd, 2009.
No, I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
November 23rd, executive session.
This is,
I have no problem with
I
this
have
one.
nothing.
Okay, Karen made the motion?
Then I'll talk.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to accept the executive session meeting.
Cliff second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Regular meeting of December 7th.
Good to me.
Mel makes motion.
Make
Cliff?
motion to accept.
Cliff second. All those in favor?
Aye.
December 7th, executive session.
First executive.
The first one.
No, this is not the one.
Fine on this one.
No, this is, I'm fine on this one too.
I'll make a motion to approve the 6:35 PM executive session from December 7th. Second.
Second by Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
December 7th, the second.
This is fine too.
Yep. Make a motion to approve the December 7th, second executive session meeting. Second.
Second by Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's it.
Yep.
Good for minutes.
Budget update.
Thank you. In front of you, you have the latest budget update, and as noted in the cover sheet, I feel we're in good shape. We're approaching the end of the second quarter. One of the challenges that the schools are facing is the fact that, as you know, they're living with a 5% budget cut this year, so they're having to be particularly frugal. And I know that their fundraising with parents tends to increase during periods of this nature. You'll see as you examine the expense line that there are still a lot of funds that haven't been encumbered yet. And I noted the good news that was espoused in the Friday Finance Planning Team meeting, that being that should there be a budget reversion this year, the town officials felt that it probably could be absorbed through not reverting money out of school in town. So that will allow the schools to expend the funds that have been allotted to them. I think we're in good shape on the expense side and the salary side. We carefully look at what the commitments are for salary, employee by employee every month. And it appears at this stage we're in the black, even with the current assumptions for salary. Although I know in recent weeks we've heard about several leaves, teacher leaves that are going to be taking place in the spring. So we will be expending money for long-term substitutes. Happy to take questions, but at this point I'm comfortable saying that our budget's in good shape.
Any questions? Thank you, Carl. Great management. Next, we have two donations.
I'm sorry,
Oh, go
there's
ahead.
one
There's
other.
a second
one other
half, yeah,
item.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
There's an item that you have to sign, Mark.
Yeah. What this
Attached
is,
to the budget.
Oh, yeah.
Medicare fund.
as you know, on an annual basis, the school department has to submit an end-of-year report. That end-of-year report summarizes all of the expenses the school makes in a lot of detail. It also summarizes the expenses that the town makes outside of the school budget on behalf of the schools. For example, fringe benefits are the most obvious example of expenses the town makes on our behalf. And this document seeks to describe and explain the procedures by which the town will formulate the costs that it expends on our behalf. This becomes every year the town finance director provides a set of numbers that get included in the end-of-year report and submitted. And it's important because it's a picture of the town's expenses for the school. It has implications for net school spending, and it impacts foundation budgets and per pupil spending as well, another important outcome. So this document that